All right, chat, let's check out this one. How Disney destroyed Star Wars by Star Wars Theory. It's probably going to be a goodie, so let's check it out.
ErieSabers.com. George Lucas understood that Star Wars was more than a space adventure. It was about spiritual growth and the battle between light and darkness within each and every one of us, and that it's never too late to change your path. Lucas took inspiration from world religions, mythology, and philosophy to shape a saga that resonates on a deeper level. Yoda's teachings in The Empire Strikes Back, or Qui-Gon Jinn's emphasis on the living Force in The Phantom Menace, show that the Force was always meant to be mysterious, transcendent. In contrast, Disney's approach feels shallow. Rey's journey in the sequels is more about discovering powers than understanding the Force's philosophy.
Rey Skywalker.
There's no training, no meditation, no sense of connection. It's almost as if Disney sees the Force as a tool to create cool moments rather than a guiding principle.
That Kung Fu Ezra, I thought was pretty lame, dude.
And why is this? Because depth takes time, and time doesn't generate fast profits. As we know from Bob Iger's biography, they were rushing to get Star Wars movies out as fast as they
That's the real Sith right there, dude. That Bob Iger destroyed. He's the one who destroyed Star Wars.
could to
And
meet
Kathleen Kennedy. God.
Q4 projections.
That was me.
Disney, at the end of the day, is a business. And this video isn't to
that guy
expose
too.
more of their shortcomings when
I
it
hate
comes
her.
to being creative and understanding what Star Wars is and George Lucas's legacy, but rather to shed light on what they've done in order to fix it, and to say that it's not too late. In this video, I will explain many
destroyed
of the
him.
contrasts between the George Lucas Star Wars movies and the short-sighted Disney Star Wars movies, what they did wrong, and how they can change to make things come back to the way it was. Because at the end of the day, we just want better Star Wars. We want Star Wars to be what it was when we were kids, which is timeless under George's vision. To bring back his vision, Disney needs to let the Force be mystical, complex, and something characters actually struggle to comprehend, not just instantly master. George built his characters with care, letting them grow, evolve, and hold on to their core values. But Disney's handling of these legacy characters, it feels more like a dismantling than a tribute. Luke Skywalker, one of cinema's
Oh man,
greatest
don't do my
heroes,
boy like this.
and one of mine, was reduced to a broken man with no hope.
It's like they had to come in and like destroy the old characters so the fans would like abandon them and then somehow cling to the new ones. And the new movies have no soul. It's just bleh, it's like a slop. Like you're a pig at the feeding everything and they're throwing in all the stuff in there's like some carrots, some trash, this and that. Eat it up, here's your slop. But with the originals, like the first 6, dude, you know, even if you're not a prequel fan, you have to admit it had soul. There was something there. There's a container and there was a soul within the container. There was something deep about it. Spirit, like you said, spiritual. You had meat to the whole story. The sequel stuff was just like garbage.
Han Solo went from a dedicated leader to a failed father who abandoned his family, and Leia, once a fearless leader, is almost a side note. In Return of the Jedi, Luke is willing to sacrifice himself for his father's redemption. But Disney's Luke in The Last Jedi is a man who nearly kills his nephew in fear. Luke's defiant
Over a dream, dog. Over a dream. Like what?
trait was his unbreakable hope. So turning him into a disillusioned hermit felt less like character development and more like Disney trying to subvert expectations for shock value. And let's not even talk about the complete disservice to Han and Leia's relationship, a relationship that Lucas spent 3 films building. Instead of showing these characters as battle-worn but resilient, Disney chose to make them shells of their former selves. It's like they tore them down to reboot the series without any regard for who they once were. Why? Because apparently, legacy doesn't matter if it doesn't drive ticket sales.
That was one of the most disappointing things about Force Awakening, is what they did to Han Solo and Leia, in my opinion. Definitely after she died, you know, like, and we'll never be able to see them on screen together again. They took this character who went from being a rough, tough guy, gave him character development, showed him how to love, have compassion, and have be a hero. Basically, he becomes selfless. He sacrifices himself. Han Solo in the beginning of the first one, New Hope, he would never have done that stuff. He was about the money, the smuggling, that life, and they turned him from that into a loving, compassionate person. I wanted to see him and Leia's relationship progress. I wanted them to be what I wanted to see from them is like what you want from everybody who's like a happy ending. You know, if they would have fought or whatever, or they had like a little tough relationship, fine. But to have him turn into like a deadbeat, have him be like abandoning his family, it was just hard to see, dude. Like the Luke stuff was definitely hard to see, but what they did to Han Solo was just kind of unnecessary in my opinion. And the Force Awakening, man. If you've never seen Star Wars before, you would have probably been like, "Oh, this is a beautiful movie. It looks really nice. You know, I'm into it. I'll watch the next one." But if you were a fan who's seen all of them before, you know, we were all super excited for that, and that's what we got, a reskinned, a DLC Star Wars. It's like, dude, what is this? This is just a different skin where they try to, like, pretty much reenact the whole movie. Like, it could have been a reboot, you know what I mean? It could have been just been a reboot, and we would have believed it, because it was so similar, and, I just can't believe what they did to Han Solo.
Disney is a business. We get it. But here's the issue. Star Wars became legendary because it wasn't treated like a product assembly line. Under Lucas, Star Wars was a carefully built story, released over decades, away from Hollywood and created from an independent mind. And how has it been since Disney took over? Well, they've pushed out a few movies and a bunch of shows. I'd say the best of those were...
Alright, let's just check really quick. So, Solo, meh, mid. You know, Rogue One, I would say was Star Wars. I actually really like Rogue One. When I do my Star Wars, like, I watch Star Wars maybe like, I don't know, 6 times a year. maybe 5 to 6 times a year, where I just do all like a series, like a marathon. And I throw Rogue One in there because it's a really good one. I throw it in there between 3 and 4, and I enjoy it a lot. They destroyed Boba Fett. Mandalorian was good for season 1. Season 2, I cried. Like, you know, I have daddy issues, so I cried, you know, when Luke came back. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, I can't believe it's Luke. You know, I cried. And the number 3, season 3 was meh. Obi-Wan Kenobi sucked, except for the last, like, you know, even the Vader and Obi-Wan scenes. I bet if you were to compare it to an actual good Obi-Wan series, you would not be happy with what we got. But it is what we got, so it is what it is. Tales of the Jedi, I've actually never watched that yet because I've kind of just abandoned Star Wars for a while. The Rise of the Skywalker, ew. The Last Jedi, ew. And then The Force Awakening, like I said, it was a good movie. It was a good, like, intro to the series again if you were new. But to me, it was just a reskin and kind of like a ripoff. The Acolyte... Do I even have to say anything? Andor, I never watched, even though some of my Star Wars friends says, how did you not watch Andor? Andor was at a time when it came out, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with Star Wars. You know, I've came back. And then Ahsoka, it was alright, but it could have been better.
Were Rogue One, The Mandalorian, and Tales of the Jedi.
If you only knew the power.
And they've done this all in the span of over 10 years now. It's clear that in the beginning there were...
I have heard Tales of the Jedi chat that I need to watch that, so I will watch it eventually. But it's just kind of like I have a bad taste of Star Wars in my mouth right now. I just want good Star Wars, dude. I love Star Wars. And what they've done, what Rey has done, is made me like dislike this actress so much, and it's not fair to her, but man, what they've done is brings a tear to my eye, dude.
Prioritizing quantity over quality. And it was the bombing of Solo, which was, in reaction to The Last Jedi being absolutely horrible, which led Kathleen Kennedy to believe that they were creating too many things too fast.
I hate her.
And they needed to slow down. She then changed her mind years later to say that the reason Solo bombed wasn't because they were releasing too many projects too fast.
This is when she started blaming the fans for being shitty fans.
But it was actually because they didn't use deepfake for such legendary characters like Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford. And so the audience didn't feel like they really connected with the character. This is the same person who told us, Star Wars fans, that there is no source material, no comic book.
If you want the definition of mid, there it is, dude. This girl, She is so lucky she worked with the dude she worked with, because he sucks.
Books, no games, nothing.
We don't have source material.
Now, The Mandalorian was a refreshing exception to all of this because it actually focused on telling a story first. But even The Mandalorian has become a cash cow for Disney, used to keep subscriptions up and fuel.
Like, why? Why was it?
Merchandise sales. Imagine if Disney took their time with Star Wars, focusing on fewer, high-quality projects rather than an endless conveyor belt
There's my boy.
of content to meet Q4 analytics and earnings. Lucas spent years crafting his vision. Disney barely lets one project breathe before moving on to the next, eager to turn a profit. Now, they could do this, I believe, with the same kind of output, but they just need to hire talented people who actually understand Star Wars and care about it.
If you guys haven't watched this video, it's a good video to go watch. This guy was supposed to be the writer and the director, I think, for the Kenobi series, and they scrapped it. But if you go listen to what he was going to do, this guy actually loved Star Wars, so he understands Star Wars. It was going to be a great movie. I believe he was doing the movies. I think there are going to be 2 movies, I think he was doing them. It was a great video. It's a while ago I watched this. Of course, I wasn't making content then. Or we definitely would have reacted to it. It was a great video. You guys should check it out.
Not people who ridicule and shit on George Lucas like Leslie Headland, who essentially blew $300 million on The Acolyte for some sort of a weird therapy
I hate her too. Dude.
session for herself. Complex characters are at the heart of great storytelling, but Disney's approach has been much more formulaic. Rey's journey feels almost like a checklist. Find her powers, win some fights, face a villain, and move on. There's no real inner struggle or development whatsoever.
What's with the face,
Ask
dude?
yourself, what did she do to really train and develop her powers, her immense power?
Rey, look constipated. Good. Action. It's like, what are these facial expressions, dude?
Luke's journey was powerful because he failed. He doubted. He grew. When he lost to Vader in The Empire Strikes Back, it wasn't just a physical loss.
Great movie.
It was a shattering of his entire identity. Rey? Well, she seemed to have it all figured out. Her biggest challenge is finding out that she's a Palpatine, which is practically dropped as soon as it's introduced.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow. Whoa, she's so strong, bro. She's so cool.
It's almost as if Disney didn't want to take the risk of letting their protagonist struggle because struggles don't sell action figures. Well, I would argue. Then we have Kylo Ren, Disney's attempt at a tragic villain. He had incredible potential, but his redemption in The Rise of Skywalker was practically an afterthought. Contrast this with Anakin's fall and redemption. Lucas dedicated an entire trilogy to showing Anakin's pain, his choices, his manipulation by Palpatine. Kylo?
And a lot of people say it was rushed. One of the biggest critiques is, what happened between 2 and 3? He just like got evil. Like, what happened to the escalation there? It's like so forced, blah blah blah. And then those same people are like, the prequel or the sequels are so good.
Yeah, his redemption is so sudden, it barely makes sense. It's like Disney needed a quick fix to wrap up his story.
I was so hyped at this moment, dude. Oh, she's dead. Thank you. Thank you. So maybe we'll continue with Kylo Ren or something. She's dead. Thank you. But no.
And tie up loose ends. What else can you expect when you don't have directors talking to each other properly, planning out the trilogy, or really understanding Star Wars? And Finn? I mean, don't even get me started on the poor guy. A stormtrooper who defects could have been one of the most
I thought he was going to be a Jedi.
Remember in the beginning of The Force Awakens when he started to get all disoriented and he was coming to, like as if his mind had been wiped for so many years and maybe he was some sort of a Force-sensitive Jedi that they were trying to get information out of? Or perhaps maybe Luke wiped his mind knowing that he was about to be captured so that they wouldn't get any sort of vital information from him? And maybe he goes back.
Remember when they made him disappear on the Chinese poster? So 100% they didn't let this guy become a Jedi. It's because he's black. Like all the like Disney, inclusivity, DEI stuff. The reason why he didn't become a Jedi is because he's black. Because they couldn't let a black Jedi be in the movie because they wouldn't get that Chinese money, that China money, that cheddar. Such freaking racist, dog.
To Luke, or goes back to his lineage and becomes a Jedi once again, and rises to stardom, and becomes the hero that we all needed. Instead, Disney sidelines him, and by The Rise of Skywalker, he's practically a glorified sidekick that just screams out Rey. Not to mention they shrunk him in the Chinese poster,
There it is.
and you can probably guess why. Imagine if Disney had actually explored
Because he's black.
Finn's trauma, his conflict with his past as a stormtrooper.
Racist Disney, bro.
But that would have required nuance and depth, and apparently, Disney didn't see the value in that. Before Disney, the expanded universe, now called Legends, was a treasure trove of rich stories, beloved characters, and lore that added depth to the Star Wars universe. Something that Kathleen Kennedy had no idea actually existed
That was a
when
great
she
game.
said there was no source
Hate her.
material. Disney erased this overnight, and instead, they've given us a new canon that feels hollow. Maybe it's so they don't have to pay royalties to what came before it, I don't know. While there have been some successes, like the reintroduction of Thrawn,
I wouldn't even call that a success, dog. He literally sucked. They had two people running on like little dogs, and he couldn't blow them up. Like, it was just like, this guy is supposed to be a mastermind. He's supposed to be so intimidating, so great, and the Ahsoka show just made him look like an idiot.
Disney's new material often feels like it's cherry-picking the expanded universe for fan service rather than truly honoring it. Fans were excited to see Thrawn in Rebels and hints of the Old Republic in The Mandalorian, but there's so much more Disney could do with the rich history that Lucas helped establish. Instead, they focus on safer, more marketable stories. It's like they just don't trust the audience to appreciate the deep lore. George's Star Wars,
Or they just don't know what Star Wars is. Like, these people making Star Wars just don't know what Star Wars is. It's ridiculous. They don't appreciate it, they don't love it, they don't care about it, so therefore we get some shitty Star Wars.
embraced complexity, while Disney's plays it safe, and frankly, I don't think they even really know Star Wars all that well. Unless you get Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in there, but then they're playing it safe too, and it makes me wonder, are they being controlled? George knew that a real, grounded aesthetic was essential to making Star Wars feel authentic. That's why he used practical effects, miniatures, and real locations whenever possible. Disney, meanwhile, leans heavily on CGI, which often gives scenes a hollow, artificial look. For example, look at the Kenobi show. Everything was extremely claustrophobic. The Mandalorian proved that fans respond to practical effects, and it feels like Star Wars because it looks like Star Wars. Disney could easily bring back this hands-on approach, but it's costly and time-consuming.
Mando gave me so much hope, dude. Season 1, I was like, okay, we're going back, baby, we're going back to Star Wars. And then just like he said, I think Filoni and them were, and Favreau, by the third season, were just like, do whatever you want, I'm done. What you want you want some scooters and Boba Fett? You just do it. Like, they just gave up. Just, I don't care. Just put your name on it. Don't put my name on it. Whatever.
Kind of like The Acolyte's almost $300 million budget. Instead, they stick with CGI because it's faster and cheaper. But faster and cheaper isn't the Star Wars way, is
That
it?
girl sucked,
Under
too.
George Lucas, Star Wars had a clear vision, even if it was controversial. Disney's lack of a cohesive vision is painfully obvious. The sequels don't even follow a single storyline. They've gone from a different director with each sequel to appointing committee.
Daisy Ridley admitted in an interview that they had no direction on the third movie that she did. She said, "Yeah, I got the script before, like right before filming, and then I got another one. They had no plans. They didn't plan out. They're going as they went. They didn't have a plan."
Led productions. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have shown they understand George's legacy. Give Star Wars to someone who cares about the story more than the merchandise, and we might just get the galaxy we remember. In the end, Star Wars is about hope, connection, and growth, telling the audience that it's never too late to change when you've gone down the wrong path, and what really happens when you have impatience and ego like Anakin did.
I could literally recite that whole scene right here. That's how you know it's a good movie. And not just me, I know a lot of you guys are watching this. You could recite this whole entire dialogue right here.
And that nothing is too good to be true. That when you make a deal with the devil, you will pay for it like Anakin did. Disney can restore the soul of Star Wars. I truly believe this. But only if they stop focusing on shallow, marketable content, agendas, checkboxes, and political divisiveness. They need to start investing in the timeless story that George Lucas envisioned. If Disney truly wants Star Wars to endure, they need to honor the galaxy's heart.
I think it's too late. Maybe that's a bad take, but I think it's too late. I think Disney needs to sell Star Wars. I think they need to sell it to either like Paramount or Universal or something. Somebody needs to buy it because the ship is done, the damage is done. It's like a toxic relationship, and once you got that toxic relationship, dog, it is hard to stay in it. And once you get out, it's really, really bad idea and very hard to repair it and rebuild and go back. So I think they have spat in the face of the fans too many times. And unless like they release a really good movie in the next one and follow it, then it's done. But supposedly they're making like more Rey movies, so it's been scrapped. But then I heard they're doing now a trilogy.
And that starts with putting storytelling over sales, just like George did.
Stupid.
I love Star Wars with all my heart, and I don't want to see Disney destroy it any further
Too late.
by making poor decisions and hiring the wrong people. Lucasfilm used to mean something. It used to be an independent company, and now it's some massive corporate monster run by people who don't even understand its origins or foundations. People that Disney
Or care about the people that made it a $4 billion product. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They care about this. They care about their message. They care about changing it. They want it to change, and they're trying to force you to change. Dog, they need to sell this shit.
interjected
Tired of it.
into Lucasfilm. It's time we go back to what George Lucas wanted, which is to
Bring
tell a
George
good story,
back.
not to divide people. I truly believe Disney can bring it back to what it once was, at least close.
I don't.
I just think they need to hire the right people and to follow their hearts, to remember how they actually were before they became greedy, money-hungry people. And the funny thing is, once they learn to detach themselves from analytics and reports and greed, they're going to see profits like they've never ever seen before. I believe Star Wars can be more profitable than Marvel, DC, and every other franchise combined. You just have to tell the story. Let me know what you guys think. Can Disney restore the true magic of Star Wars?
You know, I think that might be a false statement right there. I don't know if it could be more profitable than Marvel and all that stuff. Only because they've done so much damage to it. Like, I don't think you guys remember. Well, you guys, all you do remember most likely. You guys are all within the age bracket. You've all seen it. When The Force Awakens came out, everybody was super excited. Like, we literally were... It was the most excited for a movie I've been in years. And I know a lot of people like that. I know people, my girlfriend at the time, she never watched Star Wars anything, and she was like, I want to see this movie, it looks good, there's so much hype. Like, they dropped the ball, dude. And they not just dropped the ball, they dropped it once, twice, 3 times, and then they spat in your face and said you're the problem. Like, I don't think it'll ever be profitable until they sell it. Like, really, I think Disney Star Wars is dead. Like, well, not dead, but as of right now, unless they change the direction, it's dead. Like, yeah, we'll keep watching it, but the casual fans, they've already abandoned the stuff. Like, they're already dipping. So, like, I'll keep watching stuff that they put out there because I have hope and faith that it'll get better. But until you have people that respect the fans, respect the product, respect the lore, it's not going to go anywhere.
Or is it too late? If there's one thing George taught us, is that there's always hope, and that it's never too late to change.
I hope they're listening, dog. I hope, because it can't... I just don't think it'll ever be as big as it could have been. Like, if The Force Awakening was like a really, really good movie, and then The Last Jedi wasn't called The Last Jedi, and it was a really good movie, then we'd be in a good spot. But it's hard, man. It's hard to see. It's hard for me to envision what he's saying to come true. I think Disney cares more about their money. I think they care more about being right. I think there's a lot of pride involved here. I think Kathleen Kennedy, until she's gone, we'll never get to that point. Until she is like fired, resigns, Star Wars is quote unquote dead, because she keeps she keeps destroying it. She keeps greenlighting bad stuff. She keeps pushing things. Like the Acolyte was a lot of her. Like the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, dude. Power of many destroyed my franchise. All right, guys. That's it for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you think Star Wars is dead? Do you think they've destroyed it? Do you think there's hope? I gave you guys my opinions. I hope it's not dead. I hope we have some good content coming here in the future, but I don't know, dog. It hurts my heart. As like somebody who says, like I just told you guys earlier, I have watched maybe like 5 to 6 times a year, maybe more, the whole series. Like I would literally just watch it all in one. Like I try to watch as much as I can, like a marathon, like a Saturday or something. I'll pick like a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'll just be like, all right, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Star Wars Day, baby, and I'll go for like all day as much as I can. Then the next day I finish it up, and it's such a great feeling. And then you go to Disney, you open Disney Plus, and you see like all the Star Wars crap they've been doing. You're like, oh, why, God, why? All right, guys, I'll see you for the next one. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. This is gonna be our channel for our reactions. You know, we're into all pop culture, all like nerdy stuff, and you know, we just like to game and you know, watch anime and cartoons and Star Wars and everything else. All right, peace out.